we have to fear is
in war,
fear itself.
there is no substitute for victory.
Let us never negotiate out of fear.
We stand undivided, forever united, fighting hand in hand for the liberty we've earned, for glory and honor, for our sons and daughters, ever mindful of the lessons we've learned. Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome to the intersection of faith and politics. This is WallBuilders Live. You can find us online at wallbuilders.com and wallbuilderslive.com. You can also get a list of all of our stations across the country there at wallbuilderslive.com. And in our archive section, you can check out programs from the last few months. I'm Rick Green here with Tim Barton and David Barton. Guys, we've got a great program up today. One of our favorite guests, good friend of, David, you know him really well. Tim and I have just gotten to know him as he's come to the Pro-Family Legislators Conference. But Ken Blackwell from Ohio.
Yeah, Ken's a great guy. I've known him for a number of years, actually campaigned for him back in years when he was state treasurer, et cetera. And he's been a great guy across the years. And he has a very good perspective. He works with a lot of the groups in Washington, D.C. as well. So with his background, he is a very good analyst. He analyzes a lot of things going on. And one of the things in the news right now is obviously Russia. Well, of course, from that standpoint, America's foreign affairs have been in the news for several years because we could talk about Iran. No, wait, let's make that North Korea. No, wait, let's make that Somali pirates. No, wait a minute, let's go to Libya. No, not Libya. Let's go to Syria. No, not Syria. I mean, every time we turn around, we seem to have a new crisis somewhere that we're trying to deal with and have thus far dealt with them very inadequately, very ineffectively. And that's the situation with Russia. And so, it's amazing to me that when we threaten Russia, they impose sanctions on us. It's supposed to be the other way around,
Right.
But Putin,
that's because we're so tough.
We're so tough that when we threaten sanctions on Putin, he said, "Watch this! I'll give you some real sanctions." So, I mean, we're in a real problem with this. And Tim and I were just with a bunch of congressmen in D.C. recently, and I heard three separate congressmen talking at separate times, not talking to each other, but talking to us. And they all made similar comments. One congressman said, we were just down in Togo and dealing with folks down there. And they told us, they said, we're really happy you have elected a black president, being from Africa. We're very happy about that. But we just need you to know that if America is not strong, we're in trouble here in Africa. And you guys haven't been very strong. Please be strong. The best thing you can do for us in Africa is America needs to be strong. And then one of the congressmen was in Israel and talking to Israeli leaders, and what can we do to help Israel? And the answer was, be strong. When America is strong, Israel is safer. We need for you to be strong. You're not being strong right now. Be strong. And we had that from another congressman who was in a different part of the world, and was talking to the leaders, what can America do to help you? Be strong. If America is strong, we're safe. And so across the world, everybody but us seems to get it. But everybody but us seems to recognize that America is not strong right now, and Russia is just the latest of a series of nations who have thumbed their nose at us and have no concern for what America might think or do.
Well, and that's part of an administration, too, that does not only – they recognize that America is special, America is different, but they don't like that about it. Whereas we celebrate the success and the victories and the prosperity and the stability and the freedoms and the liberties. But right now we've got leaders that think the fact that we are exceptional is a problem, and so they're trying to bring us a level down. And this is the rest of the world going, no, we need you guys to be who you are because you help bring stability to us.
Well, we're so weak right now, and one of the programs we'll have upcoming before long is we have the chairman of the Armed Services Committee who will be on the talks, because I was talking with him recently, and it is amazing how far America has sunk in a short period of time. But we're so weak now that one of the congressmen was telling me he just got a note that he read to me from the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So here's the head of the entire military operation in the United States at the military level. And he said that America is so weak right now that if America has to go to war, it would be an act of immorality to send our American soldiers anywhere. That's how depleted we are right now. That's how much we have reduced the military, that it would be an act of immorality to send our soldiers anywhere. So we are exceptionally weak, and the rest of the world knows that. And when America is weak, there's danger for so many other countries across the rest of the world. Not that we're trying to be the world's policeman. We shouldn't be the world's policeman. But simply by standing up and saying, you know what, we can take down a bully if we need to. That's all it takes to keep a lot of bullies from acting out.
Well, it's unfortunate that people as high office as our president do not understand the importance of this, but it is very fortunate for us that we have guys like Ken Blackwell to help us get a good handle on it, and our listeners as well. So Ken Blackwell with us when we return. Stay with us here on WallBuilders Live. Hey friends, this is Rick Green, and I want to share with you a phenomenal opportunity for your family. David Barton and I both have family members experiencing this right now. It's called College Plus, and it is the best program out there for saving your family a tremendous amount of money on college education for your children, but more importantly, years of their life and getting them in touch with their purpose, their greatest calling that God has on their life right now. And this is not some mail-order college degree, folks. I'm talking about getting your degree from places like Liberty University or Concordia University or Bryan College, great colleges and universities, and other ones as well. My son Trey's doing it right now at only 16 years old. He's already a sophomore in college. It's been a phenomenal experience for our family. No age requirements, folks. You can do College Plus as well, regardless of your age. You got to check it out right now at wallbuilderslive.com.
Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome back to WallBuilders Live. Thanks for staying with us today. Ken Blackwell is our guest today. He's the Senior Fellow for Family Entertainment at Family Research Council. He's also former Secretary of State for Ohio and former Treasurer for Ohio and Mayor of Cincinnati, and our good friend. Good to have you back, Ken.
It's always good to be with you, Rick.
Hey, man, great article in American Thinker that you had on the president's, just the way he's handled or mishandled Russia. And we've got a link on our website today so folks can go read that article. It's called How's This for Flexibility, Mr. President? Ken, how should we be handling Russia? I'm just, I watch what this president does, and everything he does seems wrong, but then I start thinking, okay, what would Reagan do? What would Bush do? What's the right thing to do here?
Well, we should make it clear to Mr. Putin that the American people have put a halt to the weakening of America, that weakening stops right here, and that the President of the United States is ready to take decisive action to stop this Russian aggression. The first thing that he should do is to restore missile defense. 5 years ago, President Obama concealed plans council plans to build a European-based missile defense system. Why? To accommodate and appease Mr. Putin, who thought it was possible or unacceptable that such a system might be used to protect Americans from Russian missiles. So that's the first thing you do.
And do you think when he did that, that sort of set the tone for his entire term in office in terms of Russia knowing what they could get away with?
Absolutely. This is a president that has deliberately, very consciously and intentionally started to shrink the American footprint in geopolitical matters that I think are crucial to protecting our vital interests and our national security. The second thing that this president should do is to cancel the 2010 New START Arms Control Treaty, which was a great deal, for Mr. Putin. No cuts of deployed warheads or strategic launchers by him, and a bad deal for us. We reduced our arsenal. We should, in fact, cancel the 2010 New START Treaty. Now, here's one where your listeners will, I'm sure, be in the forefront of saying this is the way we should go. We have energy abundance and diversity. and it should be our strategic goal, to step up energy production in all facets of our capability. Coal, fracking, you name it. We should just step it up because we are fuel flexible, and we should be building vehicles that are capable of running on a variety of liquid fuels. What would this mean? This would mean that our friends in Europe would know that there's an alternative to the bully tactics of Mr. Putin. It would perhaps buck up the Germans, who are very, very weak-kneed when it comes to pushing back. But God has blessed us with an abundance of energy sources. We should put that abundance into our strategic plans to protect our interests and to support our friends.
Do you think that this president will continue to try to stop our increased oil production? It seems like at every turn, I mean, whichever area you look at, fracking or anything else.
Or coal. I mean, the answer to your question is yes, he will. This president, because he, at the end of the day, he is again trying to shrink our footprint. He'll beat his chest, but he won't do the real things necessary to throw the knockout blow to Russian aggression. I mean, it's just mind-boggling that we won't even share with the Ukrainians, the intelligence that we have on the Russian invasion of their sovereign territory. And that's after our president, beat his chest and wagged his finger and said, enough is enough. Then he doesn't follow through. So Putin takes it as just mere posturing.
Putin's figured it out. He knows this is an empty suit reading a teleprompter, and that it's all for show and nothing. I mean, look at what he said to him, or the message he sent to him, which is how you started the article. I mean, he told him, "I'm going to be easy on you after the election," basically by saying I got more flexibility.
Absolutely, and Russia has thrown down the gauntlet, and it's really not limited to Crimea or even the Ukraine. And what I think is so important here for us to appreciate is that it does not just send a signal to Mr. Putin. And let me say parenthetically, my dad used to always say, he used to quote Frederick Douglass, who said, "He who is whooped easiest is whooped most often." And so this just, sends a signal. How we handle this sends a signal to other knuckleheads in the international community. It sends a signal that the Ayatollahs in Iran can be more aggressive. It sends a signal, to the despots in Venezuela that they can be more aggressive. Not only our weak-kneed approach behaviorally towards Putin, but the fact that they can read that deliberately this administration has fundamentally and substantially reduced our military capabilities. And as a consequence, we can't engage on multiple fronts. So Mr. Putin said, well, you so pick and choose. So you guys seem to be so worried about China that I'll just hit you in the soft spot. And as soon as folks in Venezuela see that, or the Iranians see that, it's just an open invitation.
Yeah.
To them to be more aggressive, to step it up.
No doubt. Ken Blackwell is our guest. Stay with us, folks. Back in a moment here on WallBuilders Live.
This is David Barton with another moment from America's history. Today, we heard that our founding fathers were largely atheists, agnostics, or deists. The writings of founding father Richard Henry Lee strongly refute that assertion. Richard Henry Lee was a signer of the Declaration of Independence, and he is specifically the man who made the motion in Congress that America separate from Great Britain. Following his death, his papers and correspondence, including numerous original handwritten letters from other prominent founding fathers, were passed on to his grandson. After having studied those letters, this was how the grandson described our founding fathers. He declared, "The wise and great men of those days were not ashamed publicly to confess the name of our blessed Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. In behalf of the people, as their representatives and rulers, they acknowledged the sublime doctrine of His mediation."
For more information on God's hand in American history, contact WallBuilders at 1-800-8-REBUILD.
Let the torch of freedom burn.
We're back on WallBuilders Live. Thanks for staying with us. We're here with Ken Blackwell. We're talking about the failure of the administration in dealing with Russia. Ken, what about the sanctions and the impact? What do you think is going to happen there?
Well, he has to follow through, but he has to be more aggressive with our allies in Europe. I believe that Kerry and the president they have to be saying to our European friends and allies that this Russian intervention should bring an end to the drift in European security policy. At the end of if you're going to stay dependent on Russia for energy, for fuel, for oil, for petrol, then he who has the oil calls the tune. So one, there should be a strategy among the members of NATO and other alliances, the G7. We should be doing things militarily and financially that allows us to break Europe's dependency on Russian oil. We should, in fact, encourage and quietly demand that they build up their capacity to push back and to send a signal that this sort of geopolitical aggression will not be accepted.
You know, it's interesting, Ken, how much so much of the economy, the international situation, comes back to energy independence, and I can't even fathom why this president would not want us to do what you started off the interview saying. You know, that we should be everywhere we can, increasing our output and increasing, whether it's fracking or whatever, that we ought to be looking for every opportunity we can, not only to personally become, for our nation to become independent, but to help these European allies and to weaken the Russian position. And then the economy and jobs, and you look at what's happening in the areas they're doing. Why does he not? Why is he so anti-energy?
Well, at the end of the day, this is a result and an outgrowth of his worldview. You know, we've said for a while that, and I've said on your show before, that this is a president that wants to transform our market economy into a government-controlled economy. So he really is not interested in fueling economic growth and job creation through an expanded private sector effort and an injection in private capital. He would prefer, this sort of managed economy that discourages something, an amount that is well over $1 trillion now to stay on the sidelines.
Yep. Yeah, I forget that. I keep thinking that everybody, not that everybody thinks like us, but that anybody in that kind of position would want America to be more free and more prosperous. And I keep forgetting it really goes back to Dinesh D'Souza's expose on him before. Like you just said, it goes back to his worldview, and that he doesn't like America being strong, and he doesn't like America being free in terms of individuals. He wants government to control. It's no different than what he's done with Obamacare. And I keep forgetting that perspective. I got to stop thinking that, that he wants what we want in terms of a free America. It's a very different worldview.
Yeah, he lacks that common sense, and he lacks an appreciation for why we are an exceptional nation.
Yeah.
The framers of our Constitution put a harness on the reach and the scope of government because they understood that there was a natural tension between the size, scope, and power of the organized power of government and individual liberty. And so if you look at throughout all of human history, big social welfare states, totalitarian states, just big authoritarian regimes. What do? The first two things that they do is that they destroy or weaken or try to reconfigure the family. Because in our experience, the most basic unit of governance in American culture was the family.
Yeah.
And if you had a strong family, unit, that is where the incubator, that family was the incubator of liberty. So you destroy that, you increase dependence on the government, you feed an addiction for government handouts, and you rapidly find a freedom-based, market-based economy being transformed into a welfare state.
Yep, that's it. Well said, as always. Ken Blackwell, God bless you, brother. Appreciate you coming on. Let's get you back soon.
Always good to be with you.
That's Ken Blackwell. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back with David Barton and Tim Barton.
Hey, this is Tim Barton with WallBuilders. And as you've had the opportunity to listen to WallBuilders Live, you've probably heard the wealth of information about our nation, about our spiritual heritage, about the religious liberties, about all the things that makes America exceptional. And you might be thinking, as incredible as this information is, I wish there was a way that I could get one of the WallBuilders guys to come to my area and share with my group, whether it be a church, whether it be a Christian school or public school or some political event or activity. If you're interested in having a WallBuilder speaker come to your area, you can get on our website at www.wallbuilders.com, and there's a tab for scheduling. And if you'll click on that tab, you'll notice there's a list of information from speakers' bios to events that are already going on, and there's a section where you can request an event to bring this information about who we are, where we came from, our religious liberties and freedoms. Go to the WallBuilders website and bring a speaker to your area.
Let the torch of freedom
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Thanks to Ken Blackwell for his time today as well. Guys, he just makes it pretty obvious. Of course, the president doesn't get it, as you guys were saying, but sometimes I forget. This president just does not share a worldview that believes in a strong America.
Well, I want to go back over the 3 points that Ken made real quick, because he said, first, President Obama canceled the plans to build a missile defense system, not an offense system, a missile defense system in Europe because it might offend Russia. So first thing we've done is said, oh my gosh, we'll take this defense system out. Russia, if you launch a missile at Europe, we're going to guarantee it hits. We're not going to defend ourselves. So that's the first, we're going to get rid, that makes no sense. Why would you take a defensive weapon out, not an offensive weapon? But now we've said, if you shoot at us, we guarantee we'll let that missile land. That'll make you happy. Second thing is,
that's how tough we are.
Yeah, that's how tough we are.
We want the world to know this. We are so tough. If you hit us, we won't even do anything about it.
And that's the second point, is we got this armed control treaty to make Russia happy. Said, by the way, Russia, not only will we not defend ourselves, we'll take our offensive weapons off the table. We'll reduce our offense. So we guarantee not only can you hit us and we'll let it land, but we won't even hit back with our hard stuff. We'll take our hard stuff and trash that so that you won't get hurt. And then third, energy independence. And of course, so much has been done with America because we have to go to other nations for energy. And therefore, if something happens over there, whether it be Kuwait or whatever, we got to go defend our energy pipeline. We've got to get to the point. And let me just throw a couple of numbers out on this real quick. 85% of energy reserves in America are under control of the federal government. 85%. If they would just turn loose, America would be energy independent overnight. We have in western Colorado one oil field that has $170 trillion of untapped oil in it. Now, I use that $170 trillion because we're $17 trillion in debt. We have 10 times that amount sitting in an oil field that they won't tap. And that oil field has enough barrels of oil. I think it is 3 times more than all the world used in all the oil used in the world to this point. We could be energy independent in a heartbeat. So we could defend ourselves. We could have offensive weapons, and we could be energy independent. And this president said, no, we don't want to do that. We want to be weak instead.
Well, and I think Ken summed it up so well when he explained what his dad used to tell him is that he who has whooped the easiest has whooped the most often. And we're putting ourselves in a place where we're setting a bad precedent, where we're showing not strength, but we're setting ourselves up to get whooped. And if you show yourself to be weak, then you get whooped the most often.
We're inviting it.
We're inviting it, but we have to stand up for the sake of Europe, for the sake of the other nations in Europe where Putin is being a bully. They need to know they can count on a strong America, and we need to be that strong nation for the rest of the world.
Special thanks to Ken Blackwell for being with us today on WallBuilders Live, and thank you for listening to WallBuilders Live.
We stand under